Okay. Go to the bar. You started. You hit it already? Oh, really? We all?
Welcome to the Conversations with Good Brothers Talk Show. My name is Sean Francis Coleman.
And I'm Darnell Ramsey. We just laugh and excuse us. We're so excited to be back. We've been gone a couple weeks, and
Yes.
we miss you all. Thank you all for calling. You know, to our team. We call you our team because without you all, we wouldn't be nothing. So thank you all for tuning in. We're excited about this show.
Very excited.
Excited to be back. You know, me and Sean is a little antsy here because we've been off air for a couple weeks. So
I missed you, bro.
miss you. Oh, you got me out guard. Okay, brothers, I miss you too, Sean. You know what I mean? We allowed to have some fun, but that was kind of intimate. You know what I mean?
That was intimate.
That was kind of random. Like, I miss you, bro.
I miss you, bro.
I love you too, black man. But as you all know, we moved over to EX3 Radio. Very excited about this opportunity to work with the team, another team, brother Chuck Brown out of Atlanta. Very grateful for being a part of this team. This guy got a lot of things going on, and just happy to be with you, brother. Man.
Very professional. Very professional.
Very positive.
Yeah, definitely. Shout outs to Chuck. I mean, I'm also like Darnell said, I'm very excited to be part of a new, growing and expanding team. I love when stuff expands, man.
Yes.
Healthy things at least.
Yes.
You know that's perspective's motto is to expand your perspective, and if it's healthy, I'm definitely all for that. And I'm also excited about tonight's topic.
Oh yes.
You got me very excited about this. I was wondering where we was going to go.
Yes.
But controversial. One thing we do is it's controversy, but we have a lot of uncomfortable conversations that need to be had.
Yes, and that's good conversations with your brothers.
Right.
Very comfortable, and I know, from being in the academic field, both of us got our master's degrees, and we talk about this all the time. And a lot of my friends know how I feel about this particular subject and my perspective and my viewpoints on this. So, I'm interested. I'm also, when the time permits, get the opportunity, as always, it takes some comments and some feedback from you all. So we'll give you some information on how to call in and contact us, or to give you input or your comments, or let us know whether you agree or disagree with some of the things that we say. And again, everything's all respectful and all good, man. So with that said, we can jump in. I'm sorry, I didn't even ask you, how was your day, man?
Hey, man, my day was very incredible. Usually it's productive. I have I got a great life, man.
Okay.
We all have a great life. And I'm a big believer in that. But very great. Had to help the wife with a couple car issues.
Okay.
But I'm happy to be here to do that with her.
Okay.
How about yourself? How was your day?
Interesting. I did some plumbing work this morning, man.
Did you?
I woke up in the morning with a busted little pipe under my sink. It's interesting, learned how to do a little bit of plumbing, but it's cold in the burg, so
Very cold.
Before we get started, I also want to give a shout out to a good show to Sister Sharice Henry, who was on before us, did a wonderful job in bringing on some young ladies. So another incredible person that I'm looking forward to being a part of a team with such a thorough young lady. So Sharice, keep doing your thing. Haven't seen you in the gym in a while, but very thorough sister, so good work. But today's topic, we talk about higher education. Is it a necessity, or is it hype? Or is it hype?
Is it a higher education? Is it necessity, or is it hype?
Or hustle? I'm sorry, that didn't go with the tagline, but we're gonna stick with hype. Stick with hype. This thing runs dear to me, Sean, because from all the work we do out in the community, the mentoring that we do, and I'm always asking kids out in the community, such things as, what is your major? What are you going to school for? How did you choose that major? How did you choose your school?
Right.
And one of the things that gets to me is that a lot of our kids are going off to school ill prepared.
Very true. More than not. More than more kids are going off than like the unprepared than are not.
And especially some of the kids that come across from being a school teacher and working in community organizations. You take this you take this subject very serious. And one of the things that I'm always asking these kids, like, how did you choose that major? Again, back to my point, how did you go about picking a school? And them and their parents are so happy just to be going off to college.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I know one of the things that we're gonna talk about is college is a business.
It's a big business.
It's a huge business. And I have a son and daughter who's in school, and I have a niece who will be going off to school shortly. And this is one of the things I had the opportunity to talk to him, because I'm big on understanding the business aspect of college.
Right.
But one of the things that troubles me, man, is when you have a kid who's not performing well or hasn't performed well through his academic career in high school, but he or she is so excited about going off to school, and they're going off to school with a 2.2, 2.4, and again, by no means I'm not discouraging school, but when you're going off to college at a 2.2, 2.4, what are you majoring in?
Exactly. What are you majoring in?
Yeah.
And actually, to your point, I actually wanted to talk about that as well, because who are you going to school for? Are you going to school? There's a lot of people who's going to school for my mom or my dad or my grandma, because they never went. But is that really a smart investment? And then when you ask them, like you said, what are you going to school for? Oh, rockology. What is that? Oh, we make rocks. Really? You make? And how much did this school cost? $45,000.
Is it rockology?
So what you want to do with rockology?
I'm gonna build some rocks.
But nobody. But like there's a large population. I think it's also our perception of what college is. At, man, I would love to. If I could go back, I wouldn't even really want to go to college. I would want to own a college, just because of how people perceive it to be the one ticket to life. Oh, we in college. You know what I mean? But what's the percentage of people in college who really have no idea? My first 2 years in college, I didn't know why I was there. My dad told me to be there. I was partying. I was doing I was having fun.
Now the truth is coming out. We need to talk some truth soon. But one of the things that, to your point, my niece had got some literature from one of the colleges that's sends out this literature to everybody. But they had put somewhere in an initial paragraph that like some astronomical number, like 50 to 70% of kids go off to school not knowing what they want to be or not knowing their major. 50 to 70%. I wish I had that literature to look at it, but I'm like,
that's a lot, man.
That is, what are you doing? Like, to your point, why are you even coming to school if you don't know what you're coming here for?
Right.
You understand? And this is 15 to 20 stacks, and that's on the low end.
On the low end.
And some Duquesne University is $35,000. 42. Okay, I'm sorry. 42. My math.
It's a great school too, by the way.
Great school. Great school. 42,000 times 4 is 160 plus interest. Times insurance is about $175,000 to $200,000 to graduate from Duquesne University.
Right.
But this school was talking about how they have these classes that kids can take, when they're undeclared. So, but when you read that literature that you're taking when you're undeclared, there's certain classes you can take. But somewhere in the bottom, where I had to use my magnifying glass, where they said these glasses don't count towards graduation. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at my niece. I hope my niece over said, "Did you see this?" Yeah, I mean, like, this don't count towards graduation. It counts towards your GPA, but it doesn't count towards graduation. So when you go into school undeclared, so they already let you know that you might add another semester or two onto your college career.
Wow.
You understand? So now you're not graduating in 4 years. So you're taking that 15 to 20,000, multiplied it by 4.5 or 5. That's $100,000.
Wow.
Times interest.
Wow.
You understand? So you look at this now. You're coming in now. Not to mention when you're going off to school, your major. So you're going off to school and you're getting these degrees, and you're coming out with a degree that's going to pay you.
Yeah.
About 35,000.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to talk about that. You know what I mean? We got to talk about that before you get to that point. I guess that's why we're having this conversation.
Exactly.
Again, by no means are we discouraging college education, because as me and Sean, obviously, we both have our master's degree, so we are very educated. We just, sharing some, some real life conversation about how do you choose a college and understanding the business of college.
Because I think it's important that you say that we're not discouraging college, because there's like we said during our last show, there's many ways to get to the same point in life. And I think that whenever you match your education with your passion and your purpose, that's a great combination. That's a great benefit that college brings. But whenever you're in college, you're not really sure why you're there. It can be a very frustrating and I don't want to say meaningful experience, but sometimes it seems like why am I here? Why am I here? But I think that there are a population of people who do. Again, this comes back to a lifestyle, because in certain communities and certain families, we're aware that the conversation is being had years before. I mean, even think about it, but it's also sometimes it's not necessarily good. Now, I'm not, we were not raised in the Asian population, but I've learned. I don't know what you learned in school, but I've learned that some Asian kids, their direction in life is chosen for them by like age 8. So they might be doing something maybe that they don't want to do. But then there's a population of people who they're having conversations. What do you like to do? Oh, well, you like music, or why don't you major in this, or you like this. Sometimes we get stuck at like age 17, 18, like, well, you want to college? Yeah, I'll go.
Majority of us, right.
What do you want to do? I don't know.
Right.
And I think that's the majority of people. Start that conversation earlier. And pay attention to your kids. Like, what are they doing? If they're always in sports, or if it's if they like video games, there's so many different majors now where your kids have different talents and passions. You can match that up with a college major.
And I got some good good friend of mine who his daughter's a college graduate. His son's a sophomore in engineering program, and his last daughter's about to go off to school next year. But these are some of the conversations he had early on.
Exactly.
You understand? What I noticed when I was in corporate America, some of these kids from these more affluent communities, they're high school. They determined what they were. I mean, they knew going into high school, and sometimes their high school was picked based on the program that they're interested in.
Right.
I'm like, wow, you're doing this in high school? I mean, you're doing this in 8th grade?
Right.
So I was one lady I was working with, her son was into hotel and restaurant management or something. And when he was going to 9th grade, he already knew. He already researched that the University of Las Vegas was the best program for that. So in 9th grade, he knew what college he was going to and what program that he wanted to get into. Now that's kind of rare, but that's what you were talking about, how much research needs to take place versus us. Because we come from the day and age where the civil rights movement, and 40, 50 years ago, when you graduated from college, you were pretty more likely to be successful financially. You know what I mean? And then college became a business, because now they let anybody in here.
Exactly.
But back in the day when African Americans were going off to school, they were pretty sharp and thorough, overall studious type of young people.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it became a business. And one of the things that I used to have a coworker who went to the University of Penn State and probably graduated about 30, I think a little over 30 years ago. I know we always talking about the cost of school. So I remember he was telling me that he will work during the school year and during the summer and make enough money to pay his school year off, pay his tuition. He would work during the school year and summer. That was enough money to pay off his whole all the student tuition. I'm like, that dude. Right. So what happened? Here it is, 35 plus years. Salaries are still the same, but tuition has gone up past inflation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we don't talk about. And back to your point, when we talk about how many of us are going off to school pursuing our passion. Because you all know that so many of our friends are not even in the fields when they get graduated from school. They're not even working in the field that they majored in.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's crazy. So you went off to school and graduated, but you're not even majoring in, or you're not even working in the field that you majored in. So you wasn't even pursuing something that you was passionate about.
When you had talked about the tuition, and even though it had skyrocketed, I remember I asked that question to somebody one time. I'm like, man, college is so expensive right now. And how it was explained to me was, I don't know if this is true, but it makes sense. but don't take my word for it. But the person who explained it to me said that there came a time where the colleges were like, well, if the federal government says you can get this much money to go to college per year, then why would we charge you any less? Why would we? Business. That's a business.
Never personal.
Yeah.
Never personal. And sometimes we get it too. Like, you know, you think they really care about you.
Right,
like you're just a number. And then, you know, from that point, then you have these proprietor schools that have been popped up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm one of these guys who went off to one of these proprietary schools, 20 plus years ago, where, you know, you can pay for the same amount for a proprietary school and a 2-year degree. I'm sorry, you will pay more. You go to these schools than you would go to a regular 4-year school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you look at, Art Institute, you know what I mean? You look at the type of money these people pay to go to the Art Institute, and it's almost equivalent to going to Penn State's main campus.
Right.
You know what I mean? What is more credible? I think that the Penn State's main campus is more credible, but we don't look at the hustle. So, you know, when this college became a business, you know, that's when these proprietary schools start popping up. You know what I mean? I think I seen something online where the University of Phoenix president made I think they compared his salary, I think it was like almost $50 million to the president of Harvard.
Wow.
Which was like $1 million.
Wow.
You understand? Like, you know, these online schools and some of these proprietary schools, like, it's a big, you know, coming back to us a business. But one of the things that amazes me, man, you know, and there's no knock, you know, please, everybody, you know, I'm just sharing my thoughts, you know, this is from a good brother. But when you look at some of these proprietary schools, you look at degrees like, you know, CNA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The type of money that you pay to go to a certified nursing assistant program.
Right.
You understand? And the money that you come out making, you know,
it doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
And some of the things, some of these majors, and I always had a conversation with the same brother who went to Penn State, how a person going to Penn State majoring in engineer, and another person majoring in criminal justice. You know what I mean? You're paying the same amount of money. However, when you graduate, the salaries are going to be significantly different.
You know, I always ask myself, like, you know, I always thought that college should be major based. You know what I mean? Because there's no reason why a social worker and somebody who's majoring in
bionuclear engineering,
or you trying to be a hematologist. That's going to be a hematologist probably makes in one half a month what a social worker will make in a whole year, but they won't pay the same amount. But I think that even though, and we're not. Please, as Darnell said, we're not bashing college by any means. You know, we're just trying to explore some uncomfortable, maybe some harsh realities. And even though college is a lot of money, and maybe there are some business aspects about it that we might have difference of opinion about. I think that the symbolic message there is to invest in yourself. Because one time my wife had a conversation with her doctor, and he was like, "Look, yeah, I could have not went to college and paid all this money, but if I didn't pay this money, I wouldn't be doing what I love to do." So at the end of the day, I was still invest in myself to do what I love to do, than to worry about, oh, it's this much money, and to be doing something that I don't love to do. So I think that that's the other side of it. Even though it's still a lot of money, but would you pay it if it could promote you to have an opportunity to do what you love to do? If you love to do it.
If you love to do it.
That's if you love to do it.
And what you love to do at 22, bruh.
Right.
It might not be what you like to do at 35, bruh. Yeah, I mean, because when you still pay them student loans, bruh. When you got a family, you can't take your family on a vacation.
Real rap.
That love start it start diminishing. You know what I mean? So sometimes we got to be careful.
Right.
You know, I'm young brother. That I mentor, he loved playing instruments. You know what I mean? But would I recommend him going to school to be a musician, to get a degree to be a musician, versus he wants to be a doctor?
Right.
You understand? So I'm telling him, go become a doctor, and then play in the bands, the local bands, because you're passionate about playing an instrument. Go play in a local band in the evening when you ever have a free time. Even teach a class, volunteer.
Right.
But sometimes I do believe in pursuing your passion.
Right.
But that passion got to be able to allow you to take care of your family as well.
to that point, I wanted to say something just to that point, because most people are chasing degrees instead of chasing their passion. It goes to what you're just saying right now. And I'll never forget the story that you told me about Dr. Ben Carson, man. How you say it, like, as most people, like, I'm a therapist. You have a background in social work, and a lot of people want to help people. I want to do this. I just want to help people. You can help people, in many ways. Like you said, Dr. Ben Carson is in a position in the field where he makes enough money to be able to take off 2 months and to go take a nice elaborate vacation and maybe travel the world and speak to 10,000 people a month and help more people than the social worker do. But like you said, sometimes our vacation, is we go to the mall. And we don't want to go to these malls lately. Yeah.
No longer a vacation.
I don't want to go to some of these malls, man.
Right. But again, we have to find out, that we talk about that passion, but we have to make sure that your passion is something that also can provide you a certain lifestyle. One of the workshops that I like to put out there is what is your lifestyle. So I tell you about the workshop that I want to put out there soon is that. Match your lifestyle, because I want to, I tell these young men, what's your lifestyle? You like these finer things, because when your parents are paying for the Jordans, you cool with that.
Yeah.
So obviously, when your parents are paying for True Religion jeans, you cool for that. You cool with that.
Right.
But don't tell me you want to work in a local community center and still rock Air Jordans and drive a nice BMW or live out a nice neighborhood, because that major should afford you the type of lifestyle you want. So I'm always telling these kids, in addition to find your lifestyle and your passion. That will help you also with your major, because we can find a mixture in those two.
Yes.
But sometimes we have a certain lifestyle that we expect.
Yes.
But when I do my little assignment with my kids going off to school, sometimes this lifestyle don't add up to what you major in.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
So I'm letting you see right now where your major is going to put you.
Right.
So you can't say you didn't know. You know what I mean? So here's the things that we got to talk to talk to people and talk to the youth about. Match your passion, your lifestyle with the major that you want to go into.
I stole that from you. I stole that from you during, when I was working in one of the juvenile delinquent facilities. You know what I mean? And I would ask the kids, like, what type of lifestyle do you want? Oh, I want $1 million house. I want 5 cars. Man, I want 3 women. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, how many vacations do you want to take a year? Man, I want to take 7 vacations a year. Okay. What do you want to do?
Right.
Oh, I want to, I just want to, I think I want to help people. I want to be a social worker. No disrespect to social worker.
Right.
You're not living that lifestyle.
Yes, sir.
Being a social worker.
No, you're not.
You're not. I mean, and much respect to social workers, but on a social worker's a salary, that doesn't match the lifestyle that you just told me that you wanted.
Hold up, Sean. You're getting personal, because I went to school. I got a master's in social work.
And I got a master's in counseling.
Right, so, God dang it. So you mean to tell me I can't go to French Riviera every 2 weeks, man?
But here's the thing, though. Okay. Here's something that I think that we're also examples of. Even though let's say that we have some viewers that have these high degrees and that they have not, and they're not making the dollar that they want. Entrepreneurship, you can use your expertise and come up with your own business. You can start to write your own ticket, make your own lane. I think that's the other side of things, because in my major, they taught us so much about therapy, but they never had one class where they taught you how to be a business person.
And I think we got to pay these bills, and I know you talk about entrepreneurialism. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. So in a minute, we're gonna everyone, we're gonna go to a break. So we can pay our bills. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more in depth about entrepreneurialism and some of the things that, other alternatives to higher education. So looking forward to it.
Stay with us.
Stay with us. And we'll be right back with good conversations with good brothers.
Word. I think that, we good. There's some other topics. Well, actually, I think that was a nice thing to start. I think that we should also maybe address just move to the rest of the show, like what you like. Okay, so y'all saying this.
Talk through. We will come back and talk through this as we talk about that. Yeah, before we move on.
Wait, is it, say it again?
So we want to talk, let's answer that since you said what is alternatives. Like, talk to your kids about, what they want to go before we move into entrepreneurs. Welcome back, everyone. We're back with Good Brothers, Conversations with Good Brothers. This is Darnell Ramsey.
And I am Sean Francis Coleman.
Again, thank you for staying with us. We want to come back to, before we move on to entrepreneurialism, we want to talk, just make a few suggestions on what we talked about, when the first segment of our show, we talked about, helping choosing a major, make sure it's in line with your passion, in line with your lifestyle. One of the things that we want to start doing moving forward is just giving you all just a few suggestions that you can work, that you can implement in your household, implement within your family. So one of the things that we talked about, we alluded to it a little bit earlier. One of the things I did with my niece and my daughter and my son is that talk about what are some of the things that you're passionate about. But the good thing about if you're a parent out here, you should be looking at your kids' report cards. So a lot of times, my friend we talk about all the time. The kid might be great in science. You understand? So you should be able to look at their past report cards. If they're going into high school, what were they doing in middle school? As far as what were some of the things that you found them skilled in?
Yeah,
because a lot of times, the thing is right. Because sometimes you can identify their passion. They don't know what they're passionate about. They're passionate about playing video games.
Right.
But if you know your son is scoring 100% in science or 100 in math, there you can start guiding him in there and say, you know what, son, you got to do some research as a parent. That's part of being a parent. Part of it's not just buying your kid Air Jordans or buying PlayStation. Part of it is observing and being a part of their whole academic career. So you can start helping them to some things, and that's where the research on your part plays a part, where you can find majors or particular fields. If they're in science, you can expose them to so many different programs out here, but you won't have to do the research as a parent. So it's our job to help them get to that point of choosing a major, because at 16, 17, they don't know what they want to become. So as a parent, you should be very observant and paying attention to your kids' academic prowess, or some of the classes they have shown a little bit promise in it.
Yeah. But I would say too to that, don't exclude the video games. Because me, I'm true to my left-handed personality. Like, I like the non-traditional stuff. So if your kid loves video games, or if it's singing or dancing, even though they might not be totally, that's not necessarily something in the academic world of academia. Like, pay attention to some things that your kids are interested in. You know what I mean? Because the straight A students don't necessarily become the most successful people in the world. To give you an example, I was working with a kid one time through one of my jobs, and he loved breaking into cars. He loved it. You know what I mean? He was a good kid, and we couldn't get him to stop, even though we had good rapport with him. So when he turned 21, we got him a job with a AAA. So now when you lock your keys in there, he come and
he's a beast
and break in.
He's passionate about that. Right.
You know what I mean?
You observe the skill.
We observed his skill. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, we're not all going to be. If you give me a math test or a science test, I can guarantee you right now that I'm going to fail. I just shared my fourth grade report card on Facebook, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. But I'm a philosopher type of guy. You know what I mean? I like to think out of the box. That's what therapists do. That's what counselors do. So like Brother Darnell said, yes, pay attention to their academics, but do not exclude some of these things that you see them doing, that are non-traditional.
Yes. And one of the great movies, man, which is crazy that everybody, I'm always looking at, my friends are telling me you overanalyze things. But there was Adam Sandler played in that movie, Daddy, something Daddy.
Daddy. Me and
Big
my nephew
Daddy.
just watched that, man.
Big Daddy. So when people,
because you brought it up.
yeah, when people watch that movie, one of the things that I love about that movie is that he would let Frankenstein do anything he want.
Right.
Because sometimes we have a tendency to make our kids who we want them to be.
Exactly.
You understand? So people, I looked at that movie as it was entertainment. However,
Yeah.
I looked at the parenting styles.
Yeah.
Like this guy would go to school with a strainer on his head,
Right.
you know, a raincoat and some boots.
Right.
But he was shaping his own personality.
Right.
To your point, pay attention to your kids. Sometimes we so, you know, it's amazing. Like some of us, you know, we buy our kids, you know, Air Jordans, but we don't. They 3, 4 years old. We don't want to go play in the dirt because they're gonna get dirty. Now you're restricting. You're putting fear in your kid.
Ooh,
You're
that's
putting
deep.
fear in your kid.
Wow.
You understand? So how is he supposed to, he or she supposed to develop into what they want to be if we putting fear on them at that young age? Oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. Instead of sitting back like in Big Daddy, observe them and let them develop their own personality.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So those are one of the things that we don't talk about. Real quick, just want to know for the listeners that's online, that's listening online, I want to make sure that we'll be taking a few questions shortly. And I just want to make sure that you you have an idea of the number. The number that you want to call in is 1-646-787-1799. Again, that's 1-646-787-1799. If you want to ask a question, you press 1. Let our engineer let us know that we have an answer. we have a question in the queue, and we'll make sure we get to give you the opportunity to you know, comment or ask us a question.
For our Hispanic listeners, and press that numero uno, baby.
Okay, you a beast.
Numero uno. Spanish 1 skills all day, baby.
That's all these old dudes. Sorry, I've been supposed to be taking Spanish for a minute, so I'm peeping your Spanish, son. You said to our Spanish listeners?
Our Spanish listeners, baby.
Hit it one more time.
Numero uno. Numero uno, baby.
Stupid, right? He's a daggone fool, man. Shout out to y'all, the series,
Yes.
Senora and Senorita. But you know, you talked about entrepreneurialism before we went to commercial break. You know, some of us are so talented.
Yes.
You understand? In
Yes.
in our inner city communities, I remember I'm just thinking about, you know, back in the day how me and my friends used to ride skateboards. You know what I mean? And I was always this daredevil type dude. You know what I mean? They were like, "Oh, Darnell, you crazy? You'll try anything." Here it is, 20 years later, Tony Hawk come out as a multi-millionaire.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, wow, you know, Tony, you know, this guy wasn't doing anything that, you know, if everybody from the hill know about Jamie Beck. You know what I mean? Some of these guys who were beasts on skateboards, but next you know, Tony Hawk and some of these guys, it becomes a professional sport.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that was that entrepreneurial spirit that we
Right.
had that was tamed because we supposed to go to college.
Wow.
You understand that we didn't even tap into
Wow.
that, you know, our parents didn't tap into that entrepreneurial spirit. So to your point, sometimes we have to observe our kids, you know, and they might be, you know, there's a reason why you buy Legos. You know what I mean? There's a reason why you buy cars and train sets. You know, unfortunately, in our neighborhoods, in certain poor neighborhoods, you know, the first thing you do, you stick them in front of a PlayStation game. So you're killing their creativity or their entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I mean? That's one of the big things that, you know, in poor neighborhoods, in these more affluent neighborhoods, you know, I have a good friend of mine who's Korean descent, and he was talking about how when he was younger, you know, he didn't watch too much TV. His parents didn't even let him play PlayStation. You know, they signed him up for like taekwondo and all these different types of fencing or instrumental classes. You understand? So he was able to start to tap into his creative juices. How creative are you with a basketball or with a football or, you know, sitting in front of a PlayStation? As a matter of fact, PlayStations and computers, as I say in my workshops, think outside the box. That dumbs you down. You know what I mean? The mind is, you know, they say we're going to use 10% of our mind, but we limit our kids. You know, we don't even tap into, you know, we all, you know, I think the majority of us, there are a lot more entrepreneurial spirited people than there are entrepreneurs, but our spirit is killed very early on. You know, it's dumbed down early on, especially in our community, because they told, you know, we always told to get a good education and go to school.
Yeah, man. I think that I would challenge you a bit on the point. I understand why you're saying, you know, how the the technological age has dumbed us down. But again, I want to go back. I want to go back and say, still, if that is a passion of yours, that is a passion of yours. Like you have to be creative. You know, for those people who know about Perspective LLC's therapeutic boxing, that is, and I'm not saying it because it's mine, but that is to me, that is a good example of how somebody combines their passion with their education. Therapeutic boxing is a mixture of boxing skills and therapy. So if somebody likes video games, why can't you combine that with something with a traditional education? Biofeedback, you know, there's a lot of agencies who have biofeedback. They teach people how to control their emotions by playing video games. So again, what I'm saying is, to your point, yes, they do dumb us down, but at the same time, if you have a skill in something like that, you know, take that and try to maximize your talent with it. But then again, also, I wanted to say, as far as parents, sometimes I think, you know, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. And a lot of times I think that maybe some parents feel like, well, I didn't do it, I don't know how to develop that in my child. And if that's you, use the village. Who do you know, or who can you invest in, like some of these other communities? How can you invest in your child's future? How can you invest in your future? You have the Darnell Ramseys, the Sharice Hembys, you know, use the village. So don't think that the onus always falls on you 100% of the time.
Right. And also, you have another important piece of the village is the school.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of programs. That's the first place they go to, is they go to the schools. Right. You know, and as a counselor or as a teacher, you know, there's start to hold them a little bit more accountable and help you. You know, but first and foremost, the onus falls on you to identify the talent. Or to identify the interests. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you know that your kid is interested in science, you know, go to the counselors and say, you know what, my kid is interested in this particular field. What are programs, or can you find me some programs that I can explore to help my kid develop that necessary talent? So it's not up to the parent. It's not up for the teachers or the school to find your kid's talent. Right. You know what I mean? Because you only have 1 or 2 kids. The school got a couple hundred. Right. So that onus falls on you because then even with the community, even if the village, like you said, first you gotta figure these things out. You know, I seen that somebody posted that on Facebook a couple of days ago that, you know, parents expect the teachers in the schools and the community to do more work than they're putting in.
That's true.
No, that's not my responsibility to find your kid's talent, because you get that report card. You're gonna be getting that report card for the last 4 years. You know, for the last 8 to 10 years. Right. Not to mention, between report cards, you got you have progress reports. So you've been seeing some things that a teacher might not have seen because he had 30 kids in one class. He had 4 classes. That's 120 classes. You're responsible for yours, but unfortunately, we live in a system or a society sometimes would like not to take on responsibility. We also live in a society that doesn't hold each other accountable. Yeah, that's true. You know, as a parent, you know, you have to, you know, take the onus of that. And even to your point to the community, like I'm very involved in my niece's education. You know what I mean? So that's part of the broader community. You understand? So in addition to that, you know, you have other people that can help you out, but it's still the parents' responsibility.
Here's one of, before you get the question. I agree with that 99%. I think that the 1% danger in that is that we don't do diligence in researching people who are effective in that, because we assume that counselor and that teacher are not people who we're talking about who are passionate about their jobs. You know what I mean? They have the degree, but do they have the passion? You gotta match your child and your family up with somebody who has the passion and the degree and the energy, because you can go out and find anybody. You know what I mean? It's not hard to find somebody to fill the position, but can they do the job?
Now, as a former teacher, you know, because there are more great teachers than there are bad teachers, but as a former teacher, when I see the work that you put in, I'm gonna match it. So there's a lot of teachers don't have the passion, but sometimes our students and our parents have beat the passion out of these teachers. Right. You don't go into teaching if you're not passionate about it.
Right.
But I always encourage everybody, go into that school before you talk about teachers losing their passion. You know what I mean? So, you know, now the pendulum has shifted. You know, you got majority of your kids, you know, parents are not as involved as the ones who are.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can't match you if you ain't putting in no work. Right. You know what I mean? If, you know, we have situations where you haven't checked the report card in 5 years, but you want to blame me for your kid not learning.
Right.
So, you know, we got, you know, I disagree with that. You know, tell you to be careful on that comment right there. But, you know, man, but we're going back to, you know, entrepreneurialism. You know, that's some of the things that we talk about that, you know, whatever I think that entrepreneurialism should be taught, period. You know, if you become a doctor and you go work for, you know, UPMC or health system, you know, eventually you want to branch out into your own.
Right.
You know what I mean? So to get started and learn the tricks of the trade,
right.
you know, you want to, you know, go work for somebody, but, you know, you know, always leave that opportunity for people to go out and branch out to their own. So I think that entrepreneurialism should be, you know, coached or promoted to everyone. You know what I mean? Just let you know that's an opportunity for you to go and pursue. You know, because not everybody, you know, I do believe that there are a lot more opportunities, especially with, you know, the society we live in. There's great opportunities for entrepreneurialism.
You know, there's, as far as talking about is higher education is a necessity or is it hype? Right now, what you're saying reminds me of a adage I always like bringing up to kids. Like, I heard a saying once that A students work for C students and B students are self-employed. A students work for C students and B students are self-employed. When you look at people like Bill Gates, Oprah's, you know, when you look at the Zuckerbergs, Kevin Hart's, most of these people dropped out at high school or college because they had a passion. As I studied them, they're like, yo, like Zuckerberg was like, look, when I was in college, people go to college to make money. IBM was offering me $1 billion. So why would I go to college to make less than what it appears that I'm able to make? So what they did was, I'm gonna drop out, start up these Fortune 500 companies. You get A students who like to do good in school, go through all the school and get out, and then working for the cat who was a C student.
Interesting.
And the B students is people like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I think a B student is something like I started out, like I don't wanna work for you or with you, I'll do it by myself. I think that's the worst place to be in, because you don't necessarily, because sometimes you only get paid when you working. The C student, they don't gotta be there. And the A student, at least they're
passionate about working. They're about their passion.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They passionate about working. So,
right.
you know, everybody serves their purpose. And your point, there's a mixture. You know, there needs to be a mixture of both. And, you know, again, I think that, you know, exposure is key. Expose, you know, higher education, you know, expose them to entrepreneurialism. We know the whole thing that we're talking about is exposure.
Yeah.
Exposure.
Yeah.
Real quick, we're gonna probably go to a break in another minute or so. I know we still want to talk about other alternatives such as military and trades, which you know that I'm extremely passionate about. You
That's
know,
your thing.
Yeah, man.
That's your
Yeah,
thing.
you know, you know, trades is another opportunity for for people to pursue that entrepreneurial. A lot of people with trades, you know, in my experiences as you know, did in the real estate, you know, a lot of people are their own businessmen. So a lot of our kids, you know, and to your point, some of them trades people are C students.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
Who learn early on like to work with their hands.
Right.
You know, they think outside the box, but these are some of the things that I'm big on in exposing our kids to these different, alternatives to school. So, big ups to, the trades, which, I think that everybody should learn a trade, no
right.
matter what it is, because you never know with the economy we live in. You know, there might be a time in which, you lose your job or what have you. Again, we're gonna break off into commercial break, and when we come back, we'll get into the last part of our discussion, talking about trades and military, as well as we expect to take a few calls, and I know some people still emailing us some questions online. So I want to get to a few questions, but if you have an opportunity to ask us some questions or have some comments, please feel free to call into 646-787-1799. For the callers who are on the call, hit 1 and let let our engineer know that we have a question in the queue, and we'll be more than happy to allow you to ask your question or to answer your comment. Again, we'll be coming back after the commercial break, and we're looking forward to finishing up this conversation.
Yes.
Versus now stone-based speed, they let people know. But I did tell him, I did text him, but I'm talking about sometimes I text him like, oh, really? Yeah, man. He was like, hey, text ain't going through. I'm like, damn. How many people, security come up with that? Listen, I think now we only got like 10 minutes for this conversation right here. We could count them. Right.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Welcome back on. Welcome back to the Conversations with Good Brothers talk show. You know, like I said earlier, we've been off for a couple weeks, and me and Sean just sitting here cheesing like two little kids, man. About just glad to be back, man, and you know, thank you all for supporting. Again, you know, Darnell Ramsey,
Sean Francis Coleman,
and we've been talking about higher education is a necessity or is it hype? Again, you know, again, this is two men's perspective about, you know, this particular subject. You know, we encourage, you know, you callers, you have a comment, you know, to press 1. You know, if you have a question that you want to ask. We also still, you know, I guess people are still, you know, emailing us, so we have an email that, you know, Sean, well, we gonna go to real quick from Shirley from North Carolina. She asks, how do I explain to my family and friends that I'm not forcing my kids into college like they are their kids? Interesting.
Very
forcing. What you think about that, Sean? Forcing.
I think the one thing is that you know, do you need to explain what you're doing? You know, do you really need to explain? Do you need to defend why you're not forcing your kids to go to college? You know, and part of me wanted to think again. I'm a fan of college, but is college kind of a '90s thing? Is college kind of a '90s thing? You know, and really, you know, if you do want to explain, you know, there's, you know, I think that we've given some examples of how some of the most successful people have never gone to college, and maybe sometimes also it might take your kids a little bit of time after high school to figure out what they really want to do.
We're going to talk about that. That's a good point. Thank you for the question, Shirley. We have a caller. Caller last 47782. Please chime in. Caller 7782.
Hey, gentlemen, this is Sharice. How are you?
Incredible. How are you, Sharice?
I'm good. I just want to say congratulations on the show and welcome to the EX3 family. I've been listening in, and you guys, I guess you have been asking some very thought-provoking questions. I actually do have a question. So, can you explain the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur? Because I do think there is a big difference. I just want to hear. I don't have what I'm thinking, but I just want to hear your perspective.
I like that.
Good question.
I like that, Sharice. And I think we talked about this because there are a lot of entrepreneurs, but not necessarily business owners. And I think my perspective or my comment on with the business owner, I think that is more or less a legitimate, you know, a business owner, a legitimate paperwork in order. You know what I mean? You're able to go out and get some, to me, some loans or some credit, some lines of credit. Like you legitimize your business versus entrepreneurial. Because I know a lot of, you know, as I say, tradespeople who are entrepreneurs, but their ducks in their line, their paperwork, or their paperwork is not in order.
Right.
That would be my perspective when I think of a business owner.
You know, I don't really think that my perspective in a not to play both sides of the fence, but I think that I have a very similar perspective. Sometimes I do think that you can use the word synonymously. You know, you could be an entrepreneur and a business owner, but when I think of an entrepreneur, it could be twofold. I think maybe somebody who's just starting out who is, you know, actively pursuing what they want to do. Sometimes, though, I think an entrepreneur is somebody who's a jack of all trades and really doesn't necessarily know what they want to do. They selling candy. They selling, you know, they got a cab service. You know, something that makes no sense.
You know what? But you know that's interesting because sometimes I know I fall into that. You know what I mean? That's a very good point when you talk about entrepreneur, Jack. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be creating a brand? Like more along the lines of entrepreneurship?
Again, if you had my perspective on it, you know, and even when you look at the words, you know, if you look it up in the dictionary, you know, those two words are synonymous with one another. So I think that some people can use them in the same light, but also, I mean, I would think that are you asking about my example as far as like the, you know, it was funny, but like the selling candy and the cab service? Are you asking about that?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds crazy, like the person would be all over the place, but, you know, going back to my social worker tools, if we reframe it, I guess it could be looked at as creating a brand.
Well, I would say this today. I would say that yes, it could be creating a brand, but I think that there's a difference between the jack of all trades and the jack who has found his trend, and the jack who has found his trend. Because I think that sometimes we get a little bit hesitant to do business with people who have a business where they're all over the place. You know, I like that guy or I like that woman, but at the same time, they're everywhere. So yeah, you can create a brand, but are you willing to sacrifice the quality of your brand? You know, based off the things that you're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you know,
Thank you for sharing your perspective.
thank you so very much for calling in, Sharice.
Thank you very much.
But I'm gonna tell you another thing. When entrepreneur, also they say that you try 2 or 3 businesses before you fall into your you know what your gift is.
Right.
So a lot of times, you know, most entrepreneurs they fail at several things.
Right.
So you can be somewhat a jack of all trades until you find your niche in the market.
Right.
And I'm one of these type of people that try it. You know what I mean? If it's meant for you to have it, God will allow it to happen. You understand? But a lot of times we're very conservative, and we never take a chance. So you know, to Sharice's point, I think that entrepreneur, he or she can try several things before they find a niche in a market. That's the entrepreneurial spirit.
I agree with that. But I still think as I was saying, that sometimes we know that we want to have a business, and as I was trying to explain to Sharice, is that we know we want to have a business, but we don't necessarily know what we want to do.
Right.
I mean, we all like when I started a perspective, I was selling T-shirts, you know, my services, speaking, but everything was under the guise of coaching, personal development services. You know, going back to the candy and the cab service. That doesn't necessarily have any solidarity.
You can cab driving like that.
You got this candy?
You got this candy. I said, "Oh, government breakfast kicking." You know, I mean, I pick you up from the airport. You going on a hot date? I said, "You a piece of candy." You know,
no, real rap. If you can flip it like that,
yeah.
I love that.
That's entrepreneur. That's how you can be a little bit creative.
You pull out the glove box.
You never know. You know what I mean? That's an entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
But we got a couple minutes. One of the things I want to talk about that, you know, in the last 5 minutes, the last thing that, you know, alternative schools is military and trade schools. And me, I'm a military guy. I went to the military right after high school, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay.
You know, what I mean is that at 18 or 17 when I graduated from high school, I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? But I went into the military, and one thing the military gave me structure, it gave me discipline. And also it took a kid from the projects and showed him the world. You understand? So that was huge in my development. And not only that, I didn't take advantage of it, but with the military there's a GI Bill, so there's money for college. So a lot of
strategic planning.
Strategic planning. But a lot of times our kids are coming out, you might not know what you want to do at 17, 18, but you'll get a little bit closer from, at 22 when you come out of the military. Now you have the focus and the discipline to actually pursue that.
Right.
And then the second thing I want to talk about in the point with the trades, we don't talk about, as you said, there's a lot of guys that like working with their hands.
Right.
Plumbers, electricians, carpenters,
Right.
Barbers, beauticians.
Right.
And then people don't know that a plumber makes more than, plumbers by their 10th year making over 6 digits, $100,000 in their trade.
Right.
A lot of people don't talk about that.
Right.
Not to mention when you go to trade school, they pay for it. You get paid while you're going to school, and you're coming out not with a certificate. I'm sorry, you're not coming out with a piece of paper or a receipt like a college degree. You're coming out with a certification.
Right.
So if you're a certified plumber, electrician, or barber, you could take that certification anywhere in the United States and still be legitimate.
Man.
So we don't necessarily talk about. We have a question online. They ask, how do we teach our young people endurance and passion?
Let me delve into that.
Please.
How do we teach our young people endurance and passion? I think that's a question for not just young people, for people.
Period.
Because in my line, most of my clients that I have are adults. But endurance, I think we got to first address the passion part, right? And there's so many ways to find your passion. Ironically, Perspective LLC is we're offering a training March 15th on how to find and or enhance your passion. And I don't want to give everything away, but a lot of times your passion comes through your pain and your problems. Your passion comes through your pain and your problems, and you need to switch your perspective and to stop seeing your situation as more so of a negative thing, and how can you overcome it and becoming an example of life for other people. And I think that's also addressing the endurance part. The endurance really is dedicating yourself, embracing your problems and your passion, and seeing how can I turn my problems into my power, my stress into my strength, my tragedy into my triumph. And I just want to really emphasize that. But what do you think, man?
Again, one of the chapters in my book, the character is endurance.
Yeah.
You understand? So that endurance, I think that do you teach young people or you model it? Because everybody's endurance is a little bit different.
Right.
You understand? What I can endure, and I tell my son and my daughter, I'm built for this. Where this new generation, I don't know, man, because they come up come up under a different regime. Passion, again, teach them passion. It's our job to help them develop that passion because we're watching them and we're pretty much shadowing them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's as adolescents and in particular the parent, it's our job to be very observant of our kids and be part of our kids' life, and that's being more active and being conversational, so we can help them develop their passion. Because at 16, at 10, 14, you don't know what your passion is. So it's up to the parents and your community to start molding your passion and helping you mold the passion. So thank you so very much, caller on the line. We're going to finalize these things in the last few minutes, and I know we touched up briefly on trades and military. One of the things that I want to leave with this note on military, because I ran a program for single parents, and I used to always tell parents, and I hear parents they get so much kickback when I tell them let their boys go into the military. And one of the things they talk about, I ain't sending my kid to war. To die, I said, so this week I did some calculations, because I'm a numbers man. So I looked in the last few years of the Pittsburgh Courier. I think there was a total of last 4 or 5 years, there were over 400 African American kids being murdered, in the streets of Pittsburgh and out in surrounding counties. And I have yet to find one African American who died over in Iraq in that time.
Wow.
So when I ask kids, are you safer in Iraq or a war in the military than you are safe out here in our communities?
And the articles that talk about that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So when I ask parents, they worried about war. No, and I tell people also there are over 1 million people in the war. In the military. I think less than 75,000 go to Iraq or went over to Iraq, or less than 100,000 went over to Iraq. According to my calculations, that's 900,000 people that never went over to Iraq. Because I love these numbers. But with that said, military is a great